Hi everyone, Ken Mason from Whispering Souls. So just continuing on my course here on spirituality 101. This time moving on into the rings of the spirituality that we have around us, or the functions we have around us. So as I mentioned before, as you can see on the picture I posted, we're now going to be looking at the first level. This is all about our communications, our systems, basically the hooks we create, the silver cord we have. And once we kind of get an idea what all this is about, it helps us move into our lives and being able to identify where there's issues, who's still talking to us, what we need to change when it comes to the spiritual communications. And a lot of this thing will just kind of make us, a lot of us are right now a lot of jittery going on, and it'll kind of calm us down when we know where all this information is coming from. But let's first talk about the link between our physical body and our spiritual body. So this is created when we are conceived. This is created either by a spirit guide or some other entity. It's not created by our parents or our mother. This is, as soon as we're conceived, we are given our spiritual body, and within that spiritual body they connect the physical body to the spiritual body with a hook. And what this hook basically is an information line. There's all the information we need between the two bodies are all being passed through this line. And it's also a protection line, saying that you're not going to go further than what we allow you to go. There's always a fear, and everybody kind of thinks of this way, but what if my spirit body goes too far? Will I die? Of course, the spiritual hook is not physical, obviously. It obviously can go as far as it wants to, but because it's connected to us, it can't go forever ever on us. For example, if it does, what will happen is you might get an alarm go off in your head, and also it'll rush back. And when it does, obviously you'll wake up and you'll have you'll suddenly feel like somebody slammed you in the chest, and you're out of breath and sweaty, and that's just simply because your spiritual body came back too fast. But one of the things what it does, though, is that is part of their protection. And so it's there to prevent us basically from dying. If you die, your cord has to be cut. But sometimes, we have near-death experiences, and these are kind of things that show us what could happen when we die. I've had a few friends that have had this kind of experiences. One that's a good friend of mine who had a heart attack, and when he was on the table or whatever, he saw himself leaving his body and looking down, and he went through through the ceiling, I believe, and he found himself walking on a bridge, and he saw his mother standing there. So he walked up to her and says, "Hey, am I dying? Am I dead?" And says, "No, you're not leaving." Says, "You're not ready to leave yet. You have things to do." But he said, I said, "But I want to go." And she says, "You can't." And at that moment, he was revived, and he came back to his body. And it's all kinds of stories like that. I have another person who, was same scenario where I think he was having a heart attack, and he was floating through the ceiling, and he went through the ceiling, and he could see everything down and up, and as he was floating away, all he could hear was the doctor say, "You're not leaving. You're not leaving me." And all of a sudden he was back in his body because the doctor revived him. So we have a lot of near-death experiences that show us what we can do and what is on the other side. But again, because they didn't die, that spiritual cord stopped them from moving over to the other side. It's very protective. It's it's very obviously very flexible, and I said, when we have time to pass away, it'll be a family member that comes and gets us. So we have people that always say, "Hey, Mom's here. I just talked to Dad or whatnot," and then they pass away 5 minutes later, and that's because they come and cut the cord. Similar to us when we're born, they have to cut the physical cord. when we pass away spiritually, they have to come and cut the spiritual cord. And it's just kind of what that cord is, and it's often referred to as the silver cord. And that's a cord is just connected between your physical body and your spiritual body. It's the one that connects the two of them, and it's right up against, you can feel them right up against each other. However, there's a different kind of cord that's around as well, and that one's what we call the spiritual hook. So when your mother conceives you and that you're growing in her body, you're creating a hook with her. It's a hook that's generated over 9 months, and what we call that is a hook, communication hook. And that hook is basically between the two spiritual bodies. So again, when a child is conceived, it grows within the in the mother's womb for 9 months. People will say the lady's glowing because she's pregnant, and that's because you have two auras now, so you have double the energy, and double the energy helps you raise the child or grow the child. But then because you're there for 9 months, you're creating this very, very strong spiritual hook. This is the same thing as you would do with your partner in a relationship. You create a hook so you can communicate back and forth without actually talking. Similar to, somebody sitting there and thinking in mind, oh, maybe a pizza tonight, and the other one will pop up and say, hey, how about a pizza? This is a spiritual hook. And we create this hook with everybody that we meet that we want to communicate with. However, the one thing that might happen that people probably don't like is that if you end a relationship, that hook is still there. So the person who's left your relationship may still be able to communicate with you on the spiritual side. Or you may be doing your own thing and get feelings about them, or hearing odd things. Not necessarily hearing, but feeling odd things about them. And that's why sometimes you have to go and make sure that you cut all the hooks from people that are negative towards you, and work on that aspect, and realizing that there are people that are still listening in on you. How do you do it? I'll show you at the end. At the end of this discussion, I'll be having a few courses or a few lessons that you guys may want to listen in on. If you're not interested, that's fine. That's why I put them at the end, so you don't have to skip through them or whatnot. But no, I'll have a few short exercises on how to do that, and how to touch, how to see your body, and so on and so forth. But continuing on, you find that these hooks are very are either very advantageous, or they can harm you in a way or that perhaps you don't want them to hurt you. All in all, though, the difference is that your own personal hook is between your physical body and your spiritual body, and the other hooks are between the two spiritual bodies. And that's why their information won't hurt you, because they won't go down that personal cord. So on your body, you actually have your own personal cord, one between your physical body and your spiritual body, but your spiritual body also has a hook to, like, your mother. So your spiritual body is the one that gets all the hooks, but it kind of makes sure that if you want to got the perfect information, is coming down the channel. It's just one of the things that, it's kind of hard at that point to define it, but it just kind of consider everything comes into like a funnel, and all that funnel goes towards you on that personal level. So you know what you're hearing. No. So now it's basically the time to give these lessons. So if there's any confusion about what I've mentioned, or if you have any questions, please leave comments. I'll be more than happy to give you answers on the comments. But sometimes these can be confusing, and sometimes I don't explain them properly. So if I didn't explain it properly, just let me know, and I'll try to make them simpler, because I'm trying to make everything simple. Okay, so lessons. So the first thing I want you to do is that we're going to be looking at the auras. We're trying to detect our spiritual bodies on our bodies. So the one thing that I would just want you to do is, you can see the picture, is just put your hand on a piece of white paper, and just split them in half, or just one, just so that there's a space between one finger and the other finger. And what you'll see is, you'll notice, if you put a dot, you just look in between your two fingers, and you'll notice that there's a shadow that appears between them. And you'll see the shadow appears around all four fingers, and even perhaps your thumb as well. And this is your spiritual body. And you just keep doing that, or you might not even see it as a color. You might just see it as a hue, like just like a invisible shape appearing up. Don't know why I said invisible, but it kind of looks like it's something around your hand. And this is kind of seeing your aura that's so close to your body. And that's the first layer that we connect to, as I mentioned before. You'll see it. You may even, the second try to do this is, you may look in a mirror, and as you're doing your teeth or whatnot, you look at, and you'll see this little haze around the top of your head or around your hands. Again, this is where you're seeing your spiritual body, the energy from it. And that's, that is the quickest way for me to show you how to do that. We'll do more complicated things in the next one, because then we're going to start seeing colors and whatnot. But these are the two quickest ways to see your spiritual body. Just kind of look at them while you're talking to somebody. You'll see the haze pop up, and you'll just kind of say, "Oh, that's good." And after a while, you might even see the electricity popping between the two fingers. Again, spirit bodies are energy, so you're going to see energy. And when you start seeing those, you're very close to seeing the colors of it. Now, as for now, another thing that you may want to do is, so if you take your hands, picture there, if you take your hands and just slowly bring them close to you, you can notice that there's like a little pressure there. And even if you tried, you can see your hands being pushed away from each other. You're compressing your spirit bodies at this point, and what it's doing is it's trying to push your hands away. You just feel that little bit of a push. And that itself is you compressing your spiritual body. And that's the third way of doing it. Now, hooks in itself now. So there's different ways of doing this with the hooks. I mean, you can talk to spirit guides, or you can not talk to spirit guides to do it. People may go see psychics, and psychics may charge you to do it, or healers or whatnot. I don't personally think that you need to pay for them. Obviously, I'm going to get in trouble for doing this. Some healers are good at it. If they are good at it, that's fine. Pay them. Just don't pay them a lot. I do them for free when I do reads for people. I either mention it, or Bernard's my spirit guide, will automatically remove the negative ones. But in the end, what you have to do is you have to imagine them. You have to know that there's one there, and say, hey, you know what, my ex is still there. Visualize your body, and kind of visualize, the hooks that are in your body. And what they'll show you is that some are white, some are dark, some are gray. So what you have to do is kind of look at the black ones, and you either go up to them and you have to either pull them off you. If it's hard to do that, then you may have to cut them off, or you may have to burn them off, depending on how long that relationship has been. Obviously, you're not going to feel the pain from it, but it's basically visualizing your own body in your mind, and basically through your own intention and imagination, you're going to see yourself walk up to the back of your body and wherever they are, and start removing them, the ones you don't want. And in that kind of way, your spirit guide can help you, or like I said, you can ask somebody in the spiritual world, in the spiritual trades, to remove them. And that way you can get your privacy back. So anyway, that's all I have for you. I hope this part helped you. And next one, we're going to come and start dealing with the emotional body. and see what's going on with that one, how we can help that, how we can change things to help ourselves, because a lot of times the emotions hurt us more than they help us. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you with the next video. Thank you. Bye.